meow meow. Good meowing, and welcome to Bow Bow Pow. That's not the right intro. It's supposed to be Heyo Friendos. Welcome to Worm/Parahumans with your host Bowie Goldheart and Fallen from Glory. Oh, meow.
Episode number 3.
We are on Ark-Skaboozle. That's right. Yep. And that is Ark-Skaboozle, which is... Yes, that is definitely what happened. Agitation. Yeah, more like, hooray-ification. Haha, I'm so good at this. Anyways. Meow.
I mean, like...
in this arc, stuff definitely happens. Like... Bluff. Yeah, basically, yeah.
This is definitely the one where it feels like things are starting to move.
I mean, yeah. A book/web series without a dragon, lame, not worth reading. So, this one's at least readable, and we'll find out now if it's kidding.
Alright, so I'm curious.
Meow. Start us off, yeehaw. First impression, everyone was out of their league except for, Bitch and Tattletale. And them I don't think fully understand the scope of things that are going on. But I just think Bitch doesn't care about it, and I think Tattletale's, too naive to care about it. That's it. That's my basic, mono-over of things here.
Okay. Interesting. So, that's an interesting word to describe Tattletale.
Wait, I have one more big thought.
Not one I've heard anyone else use. Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing to add. I have silly theories towards Arms Master. Okay, you may now continue.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, it's an interesting... Naive is an interesting word to use to describe Tattletale. And not one I've heard anyone else use, I think, ever.
I think the reason they don't use it when talking about her is because in terms of her power and what she's been able to glean from it, she knows a lot of stuff and, uses that as tools. But I don't think outside of that, she's had the time nor ability to really develop her opinions and capabilities from like awareness. She might have all of this, what is the word for it? Where you used to see shit and whatnot, that word.
Perception.
Can't remember it. But she has a lot of perception, yeah. She has a good amount of perception because of her abilities. Crazy amounts of perception. But her awareness is skewed. Like, she hasn't been able to develop any of her own. She is going by everyone else's that she's acquired. So she's got the intellect when it comes to awareness, but none of the wisdom. Like, the situation going on with the bank and the boss and everything. She does not have that figured out, what's going on there. And, she might think she do, but she's probably just pulling on some things that she's able to figure out from there, but I don't even know if she really knows who the boss person is, It's interesting, because, she's... acting as if she's reliant on her power more than what she's been able to learn using it, there's a difference there between I have super strength so I take a hit versus I have super strength so I've learned when to take a hit and when not to, I think it's more the first for her.
Okay. So it's kind of like the Superman problem, right? where like Superman is such an overwhelming force that he's never learned how to actually fight because he hasn't found any because he doesn't really have anyone who he can fight
Yeah,
fairly, and that's
that's
how you like
that's why
improve.
he and Batman were such good friends, because like they could actually train, and that's how Superman started getting actual skill at fighting. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, so you're saying Telltale's kind of in that situation, but in terms of like not necessarily intelligence, but in terms of like information control, where her power just hands it all to her on a silver platter,
Yes.
so she doesn't need to work for it, and so she doesn't know how to work for it when she needs to.
Yeah. Yes, and like the situation with the boss and everything is definitely ones where if she knew what she was doing with her powers, if she had learned this stuff first, she'd be in control of the situation rather than having the situation control her. And I think it's
Hmm.
definitely the situation controlling her when it comes to this stuff. Yeah. So
Okay,
that's a good point I need to get out
interesting.
there. Yeah.
So, do you think it
AJ.
might be that it has something to do the fact that she doesn't really know the best way in which to leverage her power yet is due to perhaps her age or the recency with which she acquired her powers?
I think it might have something more over to do with never learning these sorts of skills prior to the obtaining of her power. You know,
Hmm.
I think that's what it is, because there's a whole line of information gathering skills and espionage and all that other stuff, and I don't think she received any training or real education in those departments before she got her abilities, you know, so no one was
Yeah,
giving
that would
her
make sense. She's
skill before she had talent.
yeah, and that makes sense because she's like like a teenage girl, right? So not to say you can't
Yeah.
learn those kinds of things
And no
young,
one
but
knew
it's
that
not.
she would get this power,
Yeah.
you know. Like if it was more like a genetic, you figure it out pretty easy, you know what's gonna happen and what they're gonna get. Which maybe it is, we just don't know. I think it's too early on in their superhero game for them to really have that narrowed down yet. They might be able to know, hey, you're likely to get powers, but maybe not. And maybe they'll be what your parents had, maybe they'll be something a little different. So I think there wasn't really any preparation for that. And also, she wasn't taken by anyone who understood that clearly. Because, like, when you have worlds like this and stuff, I mean, hell, even just with our own world, like the real world, you have people who take advantage of these things. They'd be like, hey, we know these people have this extra, ligament in their foot, and so they wind up being better basketball players or, good at this or this kind of jumping. So what we're going to do is we're going to steal a bunch of those kids and we're going to raise them up for our own thing over here. That happens, like, in the real world nowadays, just for stuff like that.
Wow,
Let alone imagine, like, this guy can shoot,
gotcha.
lasers around walls. Like, come on.
Shoot lasers around walls. That one.
Woof. Yeah. This guy can access the punch dimension and, send, like, concussive force at will in a straight line towards anybody. Screw it. Like, if you have that stuff, people are gonna try to steal those people or steal their powers or figure some shit out. There's gonna be some people
Mm-hmm.
tried and a few who succeed.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah.
Interesting that you're bringing this idea up in this arc of all arcs. Hmm.
The meow.
So,
Yeah. Okay,
hmm.
so,
So
yeah,
yeah,
go on,
yeah.
tell us. Direct us, Capitan.
Just with the way. it seems like you yeah, okay, so you seem to have like picked up on whether it's accurate or not. This idea that Tattletale is in over her head with this boss, right? Where she's not in nearly as much control
Uh-huh.
of the situation as she likes to project. Um, and you're kind of bringing up this idea of
Exactly.
like, people being essentially taken and for their abilities and utilized, um, either partially against or fully against their will. How much of that like how much of that do you think is weighing on Tattletale right?
I think a lot of that is actually affecting Tattletale. So when I first thought about her in the boss situation, I originally thought maybe she gets a kick out of not knowing information about the boss and what he's after or what they're trying to do, or she, I don't know what their gender is. But that's what I was first thinking until we got to seeing some of the action of the scenario that happened and who she's dealing with. I was like, okay, I think we're taking the different direction here than what I was originally suspecting. So
Hmm.
with this chapter, we get, Glory Girl comes back, and so does Panacea, or however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Well, yeah. So we get those two, and we get a bit of information about them, and that includes that Panacea was, a villain's daughter who was taken by a hero group, and raised alongside Glory Girl and stuff. So we get that information, and that really made me go, okay, so they are actually going to be utilizing these sorts of things. So I think that's the direction we're heading then. Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
that one
So
really
yeah,
set up
the
for a
thing that we
lot.
learned
Yeah.
is that Panacea is adopted, which might be one of the most obvious things to anybody ever. Especially once you kind of get their physical descriptions and the general demeanor
I don't know, man.
of her sister.
No, if you've ever been to like Venezuela or a few other places and stuff, families can be so mixed, man, where it's like crazy. Like, they got super whitey with the like, red hair, and then they got Blackenstein, and they'll call each other stuff like that, and you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, no, it's just the most obvious feature, so that's what we do.
That's true. I guess
It's
it's
like,
more
this is
obvious to me
crazy
because
when you.
I already know what the rest of their family looks like. They're all kind of white and blonde, like all of them. So,
Okay, yeah, but yeah,
um,
that's. Yeah, I don't
they're
think I read them yet. Let's see in the
no,
description,
yeah, you
so.
haven't met them yet, but they are pretty much all like of Northern European persuasion, and Amy is
Which is
much
funny.
more Southern European, like very Southern European, like
Yeah,
Caribbean, like a
you. Well, I know it's
uh,
funny, so because of when they're from, with the cities that were state the names and stuff like that, right? I was originally picturing that the rest of the family, this is just what my headcanon was, until, I go back and look at the things, was I was picturing like, oh gosh, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to go for a little bit. I will catch back up to you in a minute, okay? We're recording section 2 of episode 3. Oh, well. Go ahead. That was more so I could find it later. So it has step away.
ah,
I am back. All the crazy is taken care of. What's up?
good.
Yay. So I had no idea where we left off anymore. What was happening?
You were saying that you had a headcanon for Amy's family.
Oh yes, I had a headcanon. I thought her dad, okay? I thought her dad looked like Luke Cage. Okay? With everything that was going on, I thought he was this big, muscle bound black man. Okay? That's what I thought was going on. And I was like, oh, okay. He was like, da 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 da, and like, I was picturing this whole sort of thing of what like their family would look like. And, clearly that's not the case.
No,
So I would have been a little blindsided when yeah. If I like saw like the dad first and he was white, like, oh, then her mom's black or something, and then I would have been blindsided again when it turned out that they were all white. Then I'd have been like, oh,
Yeah.
that would have caught me off guard. Yeah, so who was? But yeah, it's just sort of what my headcanon was picturing there. But since, Port City, a lot of mixed people around and stuff, so. Yeah, interesting. Oh, God. Whoa. Squishy. Squishy. Squishy.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's right. Then we were talking about that because we found out for sure that Amy is adopted. And she seems to be a little insecure about that fact.
Was they adopted? Yeah. 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 There's definitely stuff going on with that adoption process outside the norm. We'll leave it that way.
Yeah, there were some circumstances involved there.
Yeah.
So yeah, why don't we start at the top of the arc? Is there anything that jumped out at you during the sort of conversation at the beginning where they were kind of planning this bank robbery? Oh yeah, I should mention they rob a fucking bank today. That happens.
Yeah, rob a bank. Yes,
So
they do.
was that on your bingo card of jobs they might go do?
Well, okay. My bingo card was 2 directions. 1, things that matter which take advantage of the current situation. Whether to advance whoever the boss's own cruel empire thing or whatever is, something along those lines. Where it doesn't feel that important, but it has connections to other groups to make him look good. So that was the big thing I was looking out for. And the second direction was a change in course. And this was a change in course, because this is going for reputation, which means that things are about to change. Maybe the undecided is going to start working with another faction or whatnot, or specifically against another one. So like things are changing for a reason, which is interesting. Specifically a bank robbery, not really on my list because there's only so much you actually get out of a bank robbery, but the whole point was, look at me, I robbed a bank, lol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
because even
that's what they're doing.
They're not.
This is not about the money.
Yeah, they even mentioned that they're not going to make the money that you would normally expect to get from a job with this much risk associated. And then Telltale's like, yo, don't worry about it because our boss is either going to pay us blank amount of money or match us dollar for dollar on what we take. Which why do you think someone
Yeah.
would be paying somebody, especially so much money, to go rob a bank?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the money it's paying. So there's 2 or 3 potential reasons why. One, doing this allows Tattletale access to information that the boss is really after and is not sort of explaining that to anyone else. We do see her messing with paperwork and looking at a bunch of that the whole time. She even steps away to go do something else in the middle of everything. And then, comes back to, that whole situation with Glory Girl. So we don't know what she was doing there. And it could be involved in whatever that third ulterior thing that she's doing that we don't know about is. We don't know. We have no idea. So it could be something like that, where getting some information, such as other people's ledgers or anything of that nature. We don't know, just even little connections. Whatever. I have no idea. That's one of the cool things about a character like that, who is a big thinker and whatnot, is unless you're in on their basic plan, you have no idea how these things connect until pieces start to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Another reason is literally just profile. Be like, yo, they did it. They have prestige. Look at them. Oh, whoa, they're so cool. And the third one is because you're doing something else. So we don't know who this guy is, so we don't know what their operations are. We don't know how many other groups they're messing with. So for all we know, they needed whatever was going out the wards and the protectorate and anything like wherever their eyes are. Most of them are going to be out of the city. Whatever ones are left in the city, they wanted to focus on one thing, while they did something else that actually benefited them. So those are the things I really see as like what could be going on there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So
Just if I was doing, say, a large-scale human trafficking and I need to move my ring without burning down everyone who's in the building and stuff, which is a normal method, if I wanted to just move it all, I'd initiate a disaster somewhere else and then do that big move so that all the forces who would be involved are minimized. So.
Okay, so kind of like a big ass distraction. Like, hey, look at that! There's a bank robbery. Go deal with that situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they we kind of gets the payoff of the cliffhanger of the last arc, where Tattletale's like ended sort of the last session, ended the last arc with, "Hey guys, we got a call from the boss, new job," and you're like, "I'm sorry, boss. I'm sorry, job." Right? That was quick, and then leads into this arc with like, "Yeah, by the way, we're robbing a motherfucking bank." And initially, everyone's like, "Why the fuck are we doing that? That sounds fucking dumb." And then she kind of talks everyone around to it until eventually everyone's on board to go rob a bank.
Yeah, exactly what happened. She got everyone on board. Gru was like, hell no, that's stupid. Everyone seemed to understand this was not a good idea. But they all wound up on board after talking to Tattletale for X or Y reasons,
Mm-hmm.
Basically, her just being like, y'all, I really want to do this job. And that's why I'm thinking there's something else going on with her. And it, whether it's like, first I was like interested in what the boss is, and you're having fun with that. I'm like, ooh, it's a big mystery. I don't know who he is. I'm going to figure it out. Or I'm going to have fun not knowing and do all this stuff. But because I know better than that thing from what this chapter was about, I know something else is up, something legitimate. I don't know what that is yet, and that's fun. Ow, wow, wow, wow.
Yes. Text and subtext and paratext and overtext are kind of like adding this sort of context to things that are happening. I do like the idea that I I love listening to your thoughts because you pick up on things that a lot of people don't. Even some things you're picking up on, like things that I didn't realize were clues. Um, like just the reveal that Amy was kind of taken at, as a very young age. Um, being a context clue as to what's happening with Tattletale. That's those aren't that's not a parallel that I drew. There's a lot of parallels in the story. There are a ton of them. I've seen many of them. I've seen other people observe many of them. That's not one that I ever connected or saw anyone else connect. But you are totally right that it exists for a very good reason. So, little round of
I'm so
applause, bravo to
excited,
you.
man. Finding out stuff is super cool. I love having story where story is good. Yay.
Hmm.
You have no idea how. Okay, you do. You honestly do. You know how annoyed I've been at a bunch of different, like, stories and books and movies and things. Like, all this media is just
Hmm.
garbage. Like, yeah, I went back to watch things that were good, man, and read things that were good. I'm like, I went so far back, I was reading, like, Elminster, and then I found out, oh, this guy's an asshole. You know, but not totally forgotten. He makes Doctor Strange look like a non-conceited person. Loved.
But yeah. So this is
But yeah,
definitely a
so
story where
I'm enjoying
you
this.
can pick up on things like that.
Hello.
I'm glad. I knew you'd like it.
Yes.
Because
So good.
there's a lot to dig into. Um, so yeah, they start
Also,
robbing a
we
bank,
finally
and
got some more information about how the dogs work. That's cool.
yes,
Ah, I love that.
yeah. So right, what man? Because I did kind of give you a little bit of a preview as to a little bit because it wasn't explained that she has no control over the animals like through her power. She has to train them and give them verbal
You
commands.
can,
Um, and that is, I believe, that's
yeah.
something that they
Which has
explain
got to be
or at
hard
least
when they're in that
shown.
state.
Yeah, especially considering like because I'm not sure how
Oh yeah,
deep they went into her power this time. So, want to go ahead and go over that?
they do a lot of different character perspectives on what's going on with her, with Rachel. So, Panacea, Amy, she and that group of people there, like Vista, I think was the one who brought it up. Actually, I'm trying to remember. I think it was Vista brought up that that Rachel has to train the dogs, that they're not controlled, that she uses commands and whistles and gestures and sounds to do that, and that's something they're trying to figure out. So it winds up on the board.
Right. Yeah. During the
There's
interlude. Yeah, it's
a
something
few
that
other
Joe's like,
notes like that.
just
It's really good.
figured out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which is partially due
And
to the fact that Rachel has
with
done a good job of
our
avoiding
main
people up to
character,
this point.
we get yeah. With our main character, we get to see her viewing the action that's going on through the rain. It's a rainy day when they're robbing a bank. Of how Rachel is, interacting with the dogs, what she's doing, and how skilled she is with them. Because I don't think Rachel has any talent whatsoever. It's all skill, baby. And to see her not even approach Aegis or anything like that when she can't access the dogs, sure stays where she is until she can control the environment again rather than, rushing in there and getting her head kicked in or anything like that. So that shows self-control and awareness of the situation. Again, she was also facing towards the enemy while her back's towards the darkness so she could step back and disappear if needed, So, again, the description of where people are and what they're doing, like, our character doesn't necessarily understand what's going on there, but our writer does. Oh.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they rob a bank, and part of the pitch was that there was supposed to be that much opposition, right? The whole thing was that all of the adult heroes are going to be out of town, and they're like, well, they're not going to call in all of the wards, right? They're not going to call in all of the junior heroes for a bank robbery, right?
And this is
and then not only do
Taylor's
all of
fault.
the junior heroes show up.
This is 100% Taylor's fault. Yeah.
It is, okay. Taylor's fault.
Taylor blames herself a little bit for this, and it is her fault. 100%. So, she went to cash in her thing, favor with Arms Master. Oh boy. That was a mistake. And the way she went about it was wrong. But she's never done these before, so she doesn't know how this works. It was really sad to see. Like, I actually, when I went to bed and whatnot, I had a dream of the many different ways she could have and should have approached this situation. Gosh dang. So bad. But
yeah, so that is one thing. Is she, she's part of this bank robbing plan session, and then she thinks to herself, "Hey, right, I'm supposed to be a hero. I should probably go tell them we're about to go rob a bank." And so she tries to do that, and it doesn't go all that well. She meets with Arms Master, and she's like, "Yo, I can't give you too much information because there's like a thinker on the team."
I want to say something real quick before you get too far.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, there's something very important here about this meeting with Arms Master. When she arrives there, she spends way more time describing the area they're at than she's ever done before. And I think it's because of its relation to the Protectorate and the rest of the city, all that other stuff. But when Arms Master does show up, she does describe him. And the way she describes him is as if it's someone else entirely. Like it's the all-new character showing up for the first time. That's how she describes Arms Master, not like someone we've seen before. Which is really interesting. So, there's a few things we could glean from this. One is she has finally got the hero-tinted glasses off of her ass and is, looking at the world more for what it is. Or two, something is actually different about Arms Master. And that last one is a really interesting possibility. So...
Right, you said you had
things we haven't really talked... Oh, yeah. Yeah, we haven't talked about certain things yet in this setting. Or the normative versions of them. So, with Arms Master and this all-new description, all new 52... we have some stuff go on here. She describes his muscles in a different way than she did before. As well as she goes over all of him. And the feeling and vibe he gets is very different. She is. So I don't know if she's finally getting what he actually is. Or if she's aware that he is someone else without being aware of it, like she's not perceiving that it's someone else, but she's aware it's someone else. That could be a thing going on. And, for example, we haven't talked about characters who are multiple characters yet, but I'll leave it that way. Whether that is a character who is a lineage slash, there's a word for it. They always like to throw it on, like, Spider-Man for no reason when Spider-Man's Spider-Man. But really, like, the Phantom's a better example of the character where the title gets passed on from one person to another, or stuff like that. And in those cases, there's times where someone is transitioning to take over the role, and they'll be switching back and forth who is actively that person. So that could be a thing going on here where the next Arms Master is the one who's there this time or was there last time. You know, but I think moreover, it'd be the new one there this time because of the behavior that was present. Was more like blamative and stuff, you know, it's very different, less seasoned, I'll say that. But less seasoned, more salty. So there's definitely something there with that. It is also possible that he has a multiple personality disorder of some sort, whether it's like just a simple BPD or, you know, a true multiple persona, or also it's other possibilities, and that a different one is driving the bus right now. Because again, we haven't seen a character like that yet. And this setting is throwing out some of the normal things, like usually we get on characters who have multiple bodies or stuff like that, but it could be as simple as him having a normal, you know, mental problem on top of being a superhero, which, you know, that's fine. That's totally a cool thing. It can happen. In fact, it's more likely to happen because all the stuff they wind up dealing with. And there is the third.
It's definitely more pretty likely.
Yeah. And there's a third possibility, which we haven't gone into in this setting yet to know how it works here, but I know how it generally works, which is the possibility of a clone or, you know, clone arc, all that stuff. So the normative way that clones work, and there's a spiritual element to this, all this other stuff, I'll just go over it, is that when you make a clone, you don't just, you know, boop, there's a copy and everything's, you know, hunky-dory, it's not you. There's a connection still between you and that clone, especially if you make it where it has your memories and everything still. So, it is possible that Arms Master might be someone like Mr. Sinister or the like, who utilizes clone bodies and whatnot to keep them self-protected and, you know, handle things out there, so that he might be able to be in multiple places at once, potentially, or just because his body is degrading or needs time to rest or whatever. We don't know. It's a possibility. I doubt it, because he doesn't have some of the... at least with what we've seen, I haven't seen him showcase some of the classic mental breaks that they have, but this one was like pretty close to the kind of episode that those sorts of people have. But again, I'm not quite there. So I don't think that's the issue at hand, but it's not needs to be mentioned because of the type of setting we're in. So, yeah. Okay. Woof.
Okay.
Let's see here. But yeah, so something's up with him. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Taylor figuring stuff out or him being someone different. For all I know, it's literally like two brothers and they switch out. It's also possible that it's two people or more stuck in the same body. Or even that they fuse together to create the hero mode. That's a pretty common thing you see happen in the superhero stuff. And I haven't seen someone who's a mix of two people or whatever. I heard do something weird with that with the Parahumans, so maybe he's an example of it. I don't know. But figured I'd state all the stuff out there, and I noticed something is fucky-wucky with this ducky.
There's I think there's no denying that there's something weird going on with this guy. Because he was pretty, like,
yeah,
if not necessarily warm, at least, like, personable and relatively chill the first time we see him, and then this time he kind of just comes in firing from the hip, you know, and something is
Yeah.
different. Something has changed, and Taylor is kind of really put on the back
Yeah.
foot. She wasn't expecting.
Yeah, so there's a lot more going on here that now those possibilities have been stated. I can get into with this. So it's possible that the fact his reputation was harmed by taking in lung as opposed to, buffed, that is why, because he feels that his honor or his legacy or whatever has been damaged by her directly. And then especially now she's going to do more damaging bad shit and it's going to affect his record. So that could be enough. We don't know this guy's moral compass at all. So for a lot of people, that's it, Or you touch my line, you go down. Like, everyone has a line and that could be his. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I don't know,
point.
but it's very interesting. Yeah. So so Taylor happens to run this the worst way possible. She starts off by saying, "Yo, nigga, give me my muns. I want good treat. Oh, wow." And then ends it by going, "You're the one who fucked up last time, bitch." So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, more specifically, she kind of comes in as like, "Hey, so I found out like where these guys are and what their identities are." And he goes, "Cool, let's go arrest them." That's kind of impressive, actually. And she's like, "Yeah, about that, I'm not gonna do that just yet." And he's like, "Sorry, what the fuck?" And then things really devolve from there. She's like, "Yeah, they've got a boss.
Oh yeah.
Shouldn't we try to find him?" And he's like, "Sure, you're a child." Which is a good point.
Yeah. We can
Where
put,
he's like,
if we had an actual undercover agent, we could do that. But again, you have no training. You don't know shit. Let's just go and get this done. Which again, is very different than how he was before. And I gotta say it because before him, the one who told her about, what was going on, the options and everything, he sounds more like someone who would understand that with someone like Tattletale there and a boss over them, who no one knows, not even Tattletale as far as we know, that this is a very dangerous person such situation. And there's things that Taylor might not be able to do about it. Like, one, they know where she lives automatically. They know where her family is. They can go kill them at any point. So if you want to do anything about it and like go arrest these people, you got to protect your family first. That just has to be done first. You can't even think about going and getting them till that's handled. Two, the base of operations is a front. Like, duh. If you have someone like that going on there, one base usually isn't the only base. So what they have there is probably one of several places they could be. So if you go bust that place, if you go bust it, like right out of the way, getting all your people together and stuff, they're gonna know ahead of time, and they're gonna be out of there with no evidence of where their other bases of operation are, and you're just shit out of luck. Maybe you get a bit of info, but you don't get them. That's another very real possibility. So, if you were acting the way he was acting earlier, he'd be factoring for these sorts of situations and understanding where Taylor's coming from. And if he really wanted her to get out now, he would appeal to that and her lack of understanding those things but also his organization's ability to get those situated, or even to put up the offer of, hey, if you stay there and whatnot, we're going to have to get you an actual handler because it can't be me. We have to get someone there, and maybe we can switch you out for someone else. Like, get someone who actually knows these things, or a ward from another city or something to come in there and do that. But, he's not appealing to her humanity in any way, shape, or form, whether mental or emotional or even social. So that's very different than what he was doing before, where even his threats were appealing to those. So, yeah.
It's almost like this time he's not even, like, appealing at all. He's more just demanding. And not that he's wrong, but there were much better ways he could go about it.
He feels less seasoned, more salty, right? There's something different here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How?
Salty.
Always another fun possibility. So, there's another thing that can happen in these sorts of things where, and even just with spies in general, where after doing something like this, like some sort of work thing, they get essentially mind-washed in a way. So they could have pulled information out of him and, hurt him in the process and get him not to know a lot of it, and that could have affected him. The Chinese do that a lot with their guys. Like, it's really annoying. But that could be a thing that happened. I kind of doubt it because of everything else going on here. Even the, like, evil, bitchy, Waller-like character isn't that bad. She honestly doesn't seem like someone who would do that. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Need to be said, though.
Okay. So that's Arms Master.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, Taylor comes in.
Yeah.
Taylor
should have done this so much differently. Okay. She should have been all like, man, my family and myself are in danger. They know everything. Oh, whoa. We can't handle this person. Oh, whoa. But, like, I know if I leave, there will be trouble immediately. I don't know if they'll leave if I do because they're so aware of me right now. I need is someone who I can call to handle a situation if it gets bad. Like if people get hurt or whatever, like what happened with Lung. Because, none of us could have known that his regeneration would have reacted the way it did with the medication used to, keep him, from waking up. None of us could have known that ahead of time. So if a situation like that arises again, or I'm forced to use my powers in a way like that, or they hurt someone in a way that I can't handle, or there's a risk to, like, people's lives, I need to be able to call someone to go handle, or send them a little text with a message like Waffle, something that Tattletale can't pick up on, that means, come here, help this person, do this thing, and I just leave that throwable phone there for that situation, We need something. Like, that's what the ask should have been. Like, holy shit.
The start of waking up, our insect in your cup.
Yes.
The Folgers thing popped in my head. Yeah, she could have. But obviously she's not the most aware of much, especially not her own situation. I don't even think she realizes just how much danger she and, by extension, her father are in because of the choices she's made up to this point. Now, most of those decisions can be excused, where you're like, oh, yeah, you couldn't have really known those consequences were coming. But some of them you're like, okay. Once you kind of had a little bit of a read on who
No.
Tattletale was and what she could do, that should have been a huge red flag as to, hey, danger, danger, danger.
Yeah.
She
Right?
probably
Like you
knows
said, my
a
first
lot more than
reaction
what.
to her was, oh, I'd try to kill that one. That's the one to take out right there. That was my first reaction to Tattletale. Like, that's gotta go. But,
Yeah. Um.
yeah. And
Yeah. So
anyone,
it's like
okay, if she rolled up as my enemy and she claimed to be psychic, like a scion or whatever, that battle would be that one's dying. Okay, that's what would have happened. Even if I was Glory Girl, my own sister's life was on the line. Like, oh, I gotta kill that thing because otherwise, so many people are gonna die. Fuck that thing. That would have been my reaction right away if she tried that on me.
hmm and I think
Yeah.
it's pretty clear from watching her that she never plays her whole hand. She will fight tooth and nail all the way to the death to keep a card up her sleeve, um, un, like up until the point, long past the point where she probably should have played it. Right? She almost certainly knows more than what she's saying,
Right?
or how she's acting.
Yeah, but there's one other possibility here that's really important. She might fuck it up. So, she knows so much, but it's piecing things together. And if she says if she words it wrong when she goes to state it, even if she knows what it is as pieced together, if the way she goes about bringing it up is incorrect, she could lose the whole facade she's been building up, Or even instantly
hmm
trigger someone into a direction she doesn't want them going. Like the last thing she wanted would have been Glory Girl go on full murder rage rampage. That would now have worked out for
Yeah.
them. So taking your time, thinking it through, saying it the correct way is as much an important piece as having that information. But
hmm
again, once all the
And
cards are played,
speaking of,
all that's left is champion v champion combat. Not what she wants. Yeah.
exactly. So I suppose, and on that note, how good of a job do you think Telltale did, um, utilizing the information she had to the best of her advantage and preventing the certain destruction of her team and possible imminent demise through de-escalation?
I I want to get back to that because I want to talk about Panacia / Amy and her botching of the whole
Mhm.
situation first.
Okay,
You have me.
absolutely.
So Amy almost won this entire thing, but
Yeah.
she was stupid as hell about it and nearly cost everyone their lives. Okay, so number one, she figured out really early on when you go back and reread the chapter, because I read it twice, that very early she figured out this bug's on me. It's connected to this person who they're going to call Skitter later. So they're connected to the Taylor. And by fucking with them, I can fuck with her. Figures that out really quick and starts, giving Taylor a headache, and messing with her head as she's figuring stuff out. Very early on.
hmm
And for all I know, within a small spectrum of time there while Taylor's distracted looking out the window, she's already getting hostages out. But she makes a crucial mistake after she makes a few crucial mistakes. Number one, I don't know if she got the bugs off of the people. I don't think she did. I know that if she didn't, that's a big mistake. And number two, she didn't go with the hostages after everyone was out to make sure they got out safe. There's a reason this is a problem. And that's one, Taylor is lethal. If you fucked up, if you didn't get enough of the bugs off of the people, there's enough around. If she's able to catch even one of them, that could be a death on your hands. Even with Panaccia's powers, all it takes is like 16 freaking, of the right spiders or 2 of the right centipedes there, and she has hundreds of them. So, all it is those hit the same person, and that guy's dead before you can make it there if you have to run more than 80 feet. Okay? And she was further than 100 feet from the hostages. They were long gone. She should have been with them and contacting and doing all that information for, Glory Girl on what's going on and what she did and that connection there ASAP. That's what she should have done, but instead, she was too much like Glory Girl and wanted the glory. So she got everyone out, and then she attacked the villain. She is not the combat one for one reason. She decided not to be a monster. Now, if she had changed her mind about that and just went in and, severed Taylor's mind or something, or, crippled her and, touched her with her hands and screwed her up directly, instead of hitting her with a weapon, it'd be different. But she decided not to do that sort of thing. That's her problem. She could Vulcan pinch people if she wanted to, but she chose not to be that kind of person. If you're not going to be that kind of person, get the hell out of the combat field.
Mm-hmm.
And she ran into it. That was her big problem. That's how she botched what would have been an epic win. Because she got everyone out of the building so that the heroes could go in there, break the building, take the people down, and catch the whole crew. That would have been possible. But they didn't know everybody was gone. Only Glory Girl winds up knowing. And again, she's right there, still in the fight with everybody else. Instead of helping people, she could have got everyone out, made sure they were all good, clear, got away from where any of the bugs could be, and then gone back and helped out with anything she wanted to. But she got those people out and away from Bug Girl first. Because if Bug Girl can get the swarm there, they're screwed. If the civilians still have the bugs on them, if she didn't take them off, and they split up and go their own direction instead of, into one area where they can be handled by police and other stuff, and medical people. If they go their own ways, then someone could get taken out in a sewer and pass out in some random area you have no idea about when they have a big bug bite or several bug bites and whatnot, and wind up losing an arm or dying. And all of that is bad press for you. The hell, girl? She screwed that up.
Yeah,
I had to say that before I talked about Tattletale.
Absolutely. It did feel sort of to me like,
Yeah.
especially with the way she was talking and acting, she was acting like she was invincible, right? Because she's like, I'm the healer, right? Everybody needs me. If you dare to hurt me, the entire city, if not country, will come down on your head. And that might be true, but Tattletale doesn't really.
But here's the thing.
It doesn't work that way.
This
she works around
person Panaccia's interacting with, the people she's interacting with are unknowns. People don't know them. You can't assume they know you, especially out of costume and whatnot. Them killing you is as guaranteed as them killing a civilian. They don't care. And then if you're gonna attack them, they're gonna attack back. You don't know these people. They don't know you. That's the assumption you should be under. Fair.
Yeah, it did end up turning out that they did know who she was, but it definitely took them. It definitely took them a hot minute to realize that's who they were dealing with. where they were like, oh shit, that's you. Oh fuck. Oh god, which she
Yeah. And honestly, she
she
could have
felt
been dead before that happened.
oh yeah, easily.
Like, that was... She played her role wrong, man. Oof. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and then that leads to the
Yes.
conversation where Glory Girl busts into the bank, and now they are having a conversation with Taylor and with Tattletale, and Tattletale kind of just rips them a new one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go well.
They ripped themselves a new one. So,
Yeah.
Glory Girl and
interesting.
Panacea do the stupidest thing you can do while in a room with Tattletale, which is start talking to each other about each other. Any little bit of information
About
she
anything.
gets is something that builds up and compounds on all the other things she knows and can use. If you just say the word, green in the middle of a sentence while talking to your buddy, she might be able to put things together and go, oh, well, they, like the Green Bay Packers, and they've been to the stadium, and they've done this, and okay, and now I know who gets their family tickets and everything, and I can kill that person or take them hostage for my own thing now. This is the person to minimize all information with. That they're just jabbering.
Yeah.
And then, again, when she starts saying she's psychic and shit, they go and say, well, that's not possible because this and this, giving more information of your own background. Stop that. Don't do that.
Yes. It's almost like she does that on purpose.
They might not know how her powers work, but they know that she knows things. Fuck.
Yeah, it's almost like she leads in with something that's obviously untrue, so that way when people refute her, she gets more information. It's almost like that's how she approaches almost every interaction, is by goading out information that she can use through various means.
That's a good way of wording it, goading out information. Because even when it came to her own buddy, she's like, hey, we're robbing a bank, woo, which got everyone to react, and that gives her more info. So, just, yeah, goading information out. Perfect way of describing what she does. Yeah. That's excellent.
So yeah, after the situation with the sisters in the bank, they're like, okay, well, we need to get out of here. And, they're talking about their options for retreat, which is what they've always done. And Taylor says, hey, what if instead of retreating, instead, we just run right at them and start beating the fuck out of their faces? And everyone kind of looks at her and goes, oh, yeah? She's like, nah, trust me, dog.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they did got this. It was close, but Jesus Christ. She was like, you know what, fuck it.
It wouldn't have been close if... Yeah, it wouldn't have been close if the heroes were acting out of the right playbook, but they weren't. They were doing their own thing. And WizKid was the biggest fuck up of all.
WizKid.
Dude, I have to say it. The book says it too, but...
Yeah.
I don't know his name. It's some shit like that.
It's Kid Win, but yes.
He screwed up big time. Kid Win.
Yeah, no, he
So Kid Win screws this up for everybody. One, he built something out of compliance and all that stuff. That's his own set of problems. But two, the big thing he did was make a giant, big weapon that, hit something hard in a large area. What he should have done was make something... Okay, he had a few options here, okay, for what would have been useful with what they were dealing with. One, seismic anything. Honestly. The enemies control all the ground except for what Vista's been handling, and she can't see much, so messing with seismic stuff, sound, vibration, any of that. It messes with the bugs, it messes with the dogs, it messes with the enemy's footing. All great options, they sense you have guys who can fly and your enemies don't. Sounds like a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
But he botched that. He didn't even think about it. Number 2. Weapons that thunk. There's no other way of really wording it, like a sledgehammer, where it has a small amount of force all concentrated in one area and then that pops out into a larger area. If he made something like that, threw one down the Aegis or whatever, he could have conked the dog's head and knocked their balance off for the whole day. Especially since with the head, you can reach into their mouth, which is then inside of them, and boom, then you hit them without going around all the armor. Like, come on. This is 101, guys. You know, if you can't penetrate the armor, you go inside. And Aegis was there with his arms and legs inside these things several times. Like, something like that would have helped. A sonic grenade.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. They're all over the market. You don't even need to make them. You can just have them on you. One of those had the dogs or the bugs. Either way, would have screwed up everything going on. He was not using his tool set correctly. And he was thinking lethal, big, crazy damage instead of, you know, how to disorient and lock down your opponent. You're a hero, dude. You're trying to save people, and that includes your villains. You want them to become good members of society and help out. Not be dead. You don't want to be the guy who killed someone's dog, who shot a dog to death. You don't want to be that hero. You don't want to be dog welder.
Yeah,
you know,
especially not in front of a bank. In the middle of the day. Probably not a good look.
Right? Yeah. Supposed hero kills 3 dogs in front of bank, for fun. Yeah. Fuck
he
you,
laughed the whole time.
Yeah.
That sounds like a headline that came up with and pushed.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonah Jameson. Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
I don't
he really botched that. He was thinking the absolute wrong strategy.
Yeah, no, it's pretty clear that he fucked up. What did you think
The best strategy, though?
Swapping costumes.
Yeah, that was the best. Oh my god, especially since the people you're dealing with are relatively unknown. You don't know them too well. It's likely they don't know you too well. At most, they recognize you by costume. They don't know your sense. Like, that's a good assumption. How the hell would they know that you did that? Especially when it's raining and all this other stuff, and they're, like, obfuscating things, making it harder to tell what's going on. The only exception is if they thought that the dogs weren't always giant monster dogs. Now, there's no telling from our view that they ever thought about the dogs. Now, if I were a hero in that city or whatever, and I had giant monster dog girl around and came to the conclusion that it couldn't be that way all the time, I would be keenly aware of whenever I was near dogs, and be like, is there a chance they have my scent? And that's it. Like, if that was the one factor there, I don't think they even thought about when it came to that. But the dogs figured it out pretty quick after Tattletale gave, Rachel the basic information, and be able to handle that and be on the right person. Easy peasy. I was blessed. And what's crazy about that is that was before talking was really a thing. Like, Tattletale put some connections in there real quick based off gestures and standing and stuff, Like, that's intense.
Yeah, it's just another peek into just the fact that she might be sandbagging just a little bit.
Yeah. Woof.
Kind of glances out the
Okay,
window in the middle of the rain.
yeah.
Or like,
Strategy.
you guys, you know.
Yeah. The strategy was really good. Danofel even knew there was another person at play, but not who it was. You know, and because it was Glory Girl, at least that's the assumption we're working under.
Mm-hmm.
But it is possible that someone else was keeping eye on the Undersiders specifically. Now, we don't know for sure that it was Glory Girl on the roof. Nothing has confirmed she was on the roof, only that she was invited there by her boyfriend. There. And that, again, is unsubstantiated. Like, she's already going to be there because her sister was at the bank. That's another piece of information we got. And we don't know if her boyfriend, Gallant, was just protecting her by making it look like she was invited there or whatnot. We don't know. So there is the possibility someone else was there watching what was going on, which could have been one of Lung's guys checking in on things to see what's going on. We don't know. It could have been someone under their boss who's verifying that certain things are happening, checking notes, or, being there in person. It could have been some third undisclosed party. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Now, part 3 of this episode 3. Yay.
Part 3 of 3. There will be no more parts.
Good.
The
Yes.
contract.
That's right. It is to untrapped or to entrap you. Yeah.
So to shift gears to something a little bit more silly, I did have one question that I wanted to pose to you.
Yeah.
What do you think of the name Clock Blocker?
I kept reading it as cock blocker the whole time. Like, yeah. It kept happening. So, yeah. But it's definitely a teenager's name that they gave themselves because, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely not something the marketing team approved.
Yeah, the marketing team did not approve that. He said that on to a journalist or something, like out of the blue, and it's like, fuck. Like that's how that happened.
I believe canonically, he was in his doing his introduction, and his press release or whatever. And right when they were about to give his name, he jumped on the stage early and shouted "Clock Blocker." And then people just had, then they just
sounds right, yeah.
at that point.
But
yeah, which is a very class clown goofball teenager behavior.
Which is really interesting because, of the people in the fight, when it's fight time, he's clearly taking it serious and straight. Which is interesting because if you want to say he's anything like a member of the Undersiders, he's the most like their regent. But, regents just sort of playing around like what Kid Wiz was doing. And he's a dumbass, whereas this guy is taking it seriously and trying his best, but he's just outmaneuvered. Yeah, that's all that really happened to him, was he was outmaneuvered before he could get anything really done. Because, yeah.
So, just because
the way he was handling the bugs and stuff, too, he was getting them behind him, all the stuff.
Yeah, like he is a goofball, but he's not an idiot, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, like Beast Boy and Teen Titans. Like, sure, he's a goofy wooby, but when it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah, I found myself liking Clockblocker a lot, and not because of necessarily the goofball nature of him, where I'm like, okay, that name's kind of silly. But I think it's more to do with like how he takes this idea of being funny seriously, where he's like I'm not just goofing off because I'm not taking it seriously. I'm goofing off for a purpose, right? There is intention behind my actions, and I'm here to be a team player, and I know my role in the team, and my role in the team is to make sure that nobody gets too depressed, right? And it's to lighten the mood and make sure everyone is at least somewhat happy to come into work tomorrow.
Yeah, everyone's got something that connects them to the group, even if it's just like, I said something really stupid and the rest of the team thinks it was dumb. There's some sort of memory, something they're linking us. Yeah. I've only just met him a little bit, but he has those vibes, you know?
Mhm.
And again, absolutely serious in a fight. Like, if
And a
if
threat.
someone else was able to, yeah, right? If someone else was able to handle like half of Taylor's bugs that she brought with her to this particular thing, he would have been able to get to Rachel's dogs and handle that situation pretty quick because he mowed through those things and got them away from the civilians, from the action, from everything, up until he just was surrounded by too many that he couldn't handle. That's it. And if Kid
Yeah.
Idiot was actually doing his freaking job, he might have built tools that would have prevented the bug problem in the first place.
Ugh,
But
poor
no.
Kid Win. Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, he does kind of
Yeah.
end up. This
Kid
is
Win
something
more
that I
like
hadn't
Kid
really.
Lose. Oh.
Jesus. This is something that I kind of didn't really think of until now, but he is kind of in this bank scene. You kind of have Kid Win on one side, and you have Clock Blocker on the other, and they are almost opposites. Where Kid Win takes himself too seriously, is kind of an idiot, and ends up, despite being the sort of big flashy thing, ends up not being too much of a threat because of how big of a target he makes on himself. He comes in way too lethal without thinking things through.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Clockblock, on the other hand,
Oh
is the
yeah,
goofball. He's
100%.
taking things seriously. He's competent, and not only that, he flies under the radar and secretly has one of the most busted powers that we've encountered up to this point, in my opinion. And on top of that, it's completely non-lethal. It's perfect for
No, not
taking
even in
down
your opinion.
villains like
Like,
safely.
Tattletale is the most OP because of what she can do. Information is king. But
Hmm.
when it comes to not information, that guy right there, Clock Blocker, is the most intense threat. You know, like, combine him with a competent tech-based person who can make stuff out of whatever, and there's prisons you could never escape that are possible there. Like, shutting down a team of villains is child's play if he has the right support. He has had the wrong
Hmm.
support.
Yeah, this is Band of Misfits. I should say, who else is even in this fight? So Vista. Speaking of busted abilities, Vista might have
Vista,
the
woof,
like that
powerhouse.
power is fucking nuts.
It is, but at the same time, because it breaks. Okay, let me just say something real quick. I gotta talk about physics and stuff a moment here. When
Hmm.
people encounter characters and creatures and stuff like that in stories and settings, and they approach it from a modern science perspective, they always get stupid and beyond retarded in their discussions about them. They go, oh, look at that. A UFO. It flew fast. It went at a 45-degree angle. Oh, whoa. Well, you know what that means? Like, the whole universe should have exploded because, my dick doesn't flop that way, or whatever. And they throw down some science and say this is why. But the reality is, look, we made airplanes, and when we were first making them, we were stupid. So when we reached the sonic, barrier and all that other stuff, the sonic barriers doesn't exist. We're just stupid. So we had to put down a science note about how we're dumb and we couldn't figure this out. But if we were building technology correctly in the first place, we'd have never encountered it and we'd have just moved past it. No problems. But instead, we made people's ears bleed and broke a bunch of stuff and created all this noise and everything because we're dumb. So when you encounter these things and they break the laws of physics or these things that you believe are the laws of physics, what should be going on is an acknowledgement that our understanding of this, whatever it is, does not reach the reality. Cool. We know we're dumb. That's why we have science, because we know we're stupid. And we say, we're all stupid. Who's the least wrong guy so far? That's the whole point. So, this power set Vista has,
we don't
a
know
lot would say, yeah, exactly. So when we encounter someone like Vista and the things they're doing, like stuff that we go, okay, cool. This is an opportunity to learn more about how the physics of this world works, and we can use what we know here to apply things there. And when we say, hey, if we did it the way we know, it would do this, but there, it doesn't do that. Instead of saying, that means there's that setting is stupid, what we should go is, well, what about the physics makes it not do that way? What can we think about and stuff, bada bing, bada boom. Because if you just go by a straight scientific explanation how things work and whatnot, the sun shouldn't have happened, life shouldn't exist, none of that stuff should have ever happened, yet it's there. So, we know there's things we can't account for. And that's super cool. We get to study more. Yay. Anyways, back to the point. Vista is very interesting. Her power set is one that requires skill because it's useless. But when someone skilled applies it correctly, it makes everyone else useless. And so that's what was really interesting here. We got to see someone who's taken the time, even though she's not that old, to really hone her skills when it comes to her power. And I love that. The bugs had to travel all this extra distance. They were losing sight of where the hell they were. All these other problems are compounded by Panaccia's, issue and what she was doing to Taylor. But also the dogs got a little messed up with it too. It took them a little bit. They figured it out, but they were having some issues like, well, that's not quite right. So, it was so cool. She didn't wind up amounting to too much in this fight, but I think it's not because she doesn't know what she's doing. It's because she doesn't know who she's doing the stuff against. So the next time they encounter her, she's going to be a real problem. But I'm excited.
Yeah, and even in the interlude where they were kind of interviewing the wards and being like, hey, what did we learn, right? It was kind of Vista who brought the most useful information to the table. It was all stuff that everybody saw, but it was the only stuff that only
yes,
noticed.
Yeah, she was able to convey it. They had seen it and witnessed it, but they couldn't necessarily convey it. She could. That's a skill.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was mentioned this time, or if it comes up later, but Although the fact that she is the youngest one on the team, she's also the one who's been there the longest. She might only be 12,
Oh,
but
that's
she's had her
interesting.
powers, I believe, since she got her powers when she was like 8, I think. So she's been on the Ward's team for more than 4 years, or so, whereas no other member of the team has been
That
there that long.
explains a lot, actually. Yeah, she's got to develop her skill while she's developing other skills, like the ability to see things. Color's already developed at that point, but it's heightened. And so separation of those and whatnot are all sorts of things that she's learning and getting down while she is learning her abilities. So it's like learning to walk. If it's done right and people teach you it and you're working through it, you can be a master walker by the time you're an adult, especially if you learn it while you're a kid. Go super quick. And she's got that opportunity with her powers, which barely anyone else has. No one else on her team for sure.
No, God,
wow. Yeah. She's figuring that out like a kid learns to talk, like a wolf.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, her ability lets her just kind of bend space however she wants. She can take 2 points and make them closer, further apart, and do this a good number of times. She can kind of bend it to a degree. Like, at points she like connects essentially the rooftops of buildings to the ground in front of her and kind of takes a step and then like lets
Yeah.
space normalize again, lets her travel significant distances, both horizontally and vertically, like extremely quickly.
Yeah, and
that's just like one
and
small way she
hindered
gets her
those
power.
dogs' ability to move, man. Like, woof.
Yeah. In a purely
she did so much,
physical
and like
fair
just
fight,
making little warbles. Like she made these little warbles where the environment was like stretched out and whatnot and stuff, and like realms or like bubble thing where it blipped out. And those really messed the flow of just the bugs and like their understanding of where they're going. Like they know they're on a surface, but they're getting mixed signals about where they're supposed to be going versus where they are, and all that other stuff. And it's really a very intense moment there, because in the end, it amounts to them just taking longer to get there and do what they're going to do. But if someone weren't paying attention, like say something else was going on with Taylor inside the building at the same time, she'd have completely lost control of those bugs and they'd be out of the fight. Just entirely. So, messing with space like that, very useful. And if she and Clockblocker were more paired together in that fight, it could have gone very differently. Because like space and time,
like, I should say, yeah, it's in a fair fight, like just a purely physical fight, she's probably the most terrifying to like have to face. Where you're like, what the fuck are you even gonna do?
Fine.
There's very little you can do if you don't have a power or something.
Well, she's also the most easily lethal of everyone there. Like, yeah. The fact she's not using it to do some really messed up stuff is a testament to her, having control, which is an important skill. Because, like, honestly, she could wrap this area around you, wrap you in the concrete, of the city. Like, she could do some really messed up stuff really easily. And she don't. Maybe she hasn't thought of it. I think she has. Like, come on. But she knows better. It is not killing you. Like, this is someone who would be terrible to face in a duel. Ugh. Yeah, you're not going to win that. Aegis would lose a fight to her.
Yeah, you would need a power that affects her directly, regardless of like distance or line of sight. Um, there are plenty
Okay.
of ways around her power, obviously, but you need to have
Yeah.
that way available to you, or you're just kind of screwed. Um, I will say she
Yeah.
does have a
And
limitation.
luckily, what we can tell is she doesn't have. Yeah. She doesn't have unlimited range. She has a limited range with what she's doing. Luckily.
Yeah,
What?
most powers.
Otherwise, she would have just,
I
rolled everyone up in the bank and bop.
I can only think of a couple of powers throughout the entire course of the book that don't care about range specifically. Almost every single power is limited by range in one way or another. Another thing um, that her biggest limitation in a fight is how close she can use her power to stump to a person. Um, this is something that'll come up later, but I think explaining it now is actually probably going to be helpful. It's a very, 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 very important aspect of the whole
We,
story and how
know.
powers function. Um, but there is something that will be touched on later called the Manton limit, where the general rule is that powers either work on people or they work on anything but people. Um, so for like an example, right, is
Yeah, that's why
on
she
one
can't
side of
just
the
stretch your intestines from one side of the state to the other. Yeah, that makes sense.
yes, but it's hers goes even a little bit further in that not only can she not directly affect people and the space that they're in, but also there is like a bubble around living things that she can't affect. The bubble isn't
The
huge, but
limit.
it does exist, and that's what is her biggest limitation in a fight is that
Man,
she can't just like bind you physically with space. Um, but I mean, she could like drop you in like a pit by going thunk and then like dipping the ground around you. And then the moment you step in there, just kind of folding space over with the
and over
ground
you and
and being
just
like, yeah,
releasing it.
you're living there now.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's plenty of things she could do. Um,
yeah,
but again, like each kind of
yeah.
edit she makes, it takes some amount of her concentration. So we don't really fully know exactly how difficult that would be. But though, theoretically she is capable of doing quite a lot. Um, but yeah, that's sort of Vista. The other people in the
Powerhouse.
fight,
Powerhouse. News.
she is powerful. So her and Clockblocker
Yeah.
are kind of the
Gru
two.
did a pretty good job.
Yes,
Yeah.
Gru
I'm gonna say
kind of
Gru did
was
a
kind
great
of the
job. Aegis existed.
yeah. That's kind of his whole shtick. It's he's like I picked this area and y'all stay out. Um,
Yeah.
like if you come in here, you like it's me on you, and I have every advantage in the world. You know, um,
Yeah.
that's
I think that when I look at it, Gru is someone who's had to work on skill, with what he's doing. Whereas Aegis is someone who seems like he's been forced into relying on talent as opposed to skill. But with what I've seen of his mentality and stuff like that, if people were to apply skill to him or get him areas where he would get it, he would be right on that. He doesn't seem like someone who would ignore gaining skill if the opportunity were there. I think it's moreover he's just been put in positions where, hey man, we need your talent. Get out there, get chewed up, get shot at, whatever. Just ain't no one else able to do that.
yeah, he is.
Which is annoying because man, he could have actually, if he had just enough skill and the right communication with anybody, he could have actually handled Rachel's dogs. Like, no problem.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the skill. He doesn't have anything. So he left everything wide open. Took all these horrible hits that he shouldn't have. And what should have been, I take this hit and you get hit worse, never went that way for him throughout this entire fight. Like, Ozzy, his hands inside dog mouth. That happened. He had limbs in their mouths, and he did nothing with that. At all. Like, that's... like, I've nearly lost my arm, like, shoving it down an attacking dog's mouth so that it can't bite me anymore. What are you gonna do? Just choke. So, stop, you stupid dog. You're gonna pass out. Yeah, okay, my hand's all bleeding, but it was gonna be bleeding anyway. Now you're gonna pass out. Get cut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the hell? He didn't even do any of those sorts of things, or even, like, put the hand up into the back of it, like, the ball up, the airflow, nothing. So, actually, he doesn't have the skills he needed for this fight, or the tools, because if he just had a sonic grenade, and his hand got shoved in there, he just, put it down the thing's throat, sonic grenade going off in his throat is gonna quiz it, man.
Yeah, it kind of seems like he is the worst choice to be the leader of the team, not because he doesn't know what he's doing. He seems pretty dedicated to his job and like an intelligent individual. The problem comes the fact that he is the only like brute on the team, basically the only person who's able to wade into battle and withstand the damage, and that leads to him being tied up and incapacitated quite a lot. And when your leader is unable to communicate,
and
your
on the front line, which is a terrible spot for like group actionary leader. Like, it's fine for the leader of the group to be there, but not the one who leads everyone's actions, who knows the plan, who directs them. The director of what's going on should not be the guy on the front line. But in their group, that's the same guy. So,
Yeah, it seems like the best choice for like shot caller, at least, would probably be Vista, right? The person who wants to be up high, away from the battle, watching everything, controlling everything, knowing where everyone and everything is. She should be the shot caller. But instead,
and able to control where people are, like get them in and out. Yeah, right. Like he's like literally, what do you call it? God, I can't even say it. Both sides are in the dogs, man. They're like that T-Rex scene from Jurassic Park 2 where they and rip the guy in half. That's what's happening to him the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because Aegis' power, again, is he can fly. He also adapts to pretty much anything. If you shoot him in the lung, he'll start breathing through his liver, right? You chop his lower half off, and his wounds will seal themselves, and he'll start to regrow his legs over time, right? It's like no matter what you do to him, he'll be fine up to the sort of the limits of like permanent death. He can pretty much just continue on at 100%.
The hit. Yeah, and honestly, we don't know if he even has a permanent death condition. Because with people, with humans and whatnot, when the body dies, it produces a chemical or whatnot that makes it all die. Otherwise, individual parts and stuff would try to function and it'd be a real weird shit show. But that's not what happens. Chemicals happen, it all dies. We don't know if he even makes that. You know, and if I were a horrible evil scientist person thing and whatnot, figuring that stuff out with small samples of his body and whatnot would be a thing I'd be all about.
True. I mean, he might be immortal. I mean, no one in this world is truly immortal. I mean, there's always a way around it through one method or another. Like, you know, whether it be like, it's like a superhero setting. So, like, you know, even
I want to know,
like,
do his cells crack even? Like, because, like, if not, oof. Yeah. It'll take him a while, but he'll get out. But yeah, you know, there's always the questions. And then, you know, there are fates worse than death. So, you know, if you can't die, all the things can happen. Oof.
Oh yeah, just knowing something will happen in the future, and this book alone, yeah, there are many things that could happen to Aegis that would make him wish he could die if he couldn't. But yeah, so moving on from Aegis, who's left? Is it just Gallant left at this point?
Gallant. I think Gallant's the only one that enemy got to go a little more into Glory Girl situation.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah, he sort of disappeared into the darkness. I think he probably. Oh yeah, I think Gallant. This is what I think happened. I think Gallant wound up fighting Gru in the darkness, but we didn't get to see it because of the way that fight goes down. You know, as he was injured and stuff afterwards with some injuries that I can't really explain. It's like dog, but it was something minor, shit that like bruises and other things, stuff there. To me, it feels like Gru outmaneuvering him in a fight. I don't...
Kicking his ass in the dark.
Like, the dogs would have left him way worse off. Yeah, exactly, you know? Hell, beating up a blind person in the dark is very different than sticking dogs on someone.
Yeah, we learned that he is Gorgo's boyfriend. And he throws out the concussive colored laser blast thing.
Oh, and the emotions. Yeah, the emotion things. Okay. He did go at bitch for a while there. I do remember that. Okay, so he and Rachel fight a bit, and it's the worst matchup ever for him. I'm sorry, but psychos and sociopaths are the worst matchups for someone like that, because, like, I've seen people, okay, who I know who they get happy, and when they get happy, they murder. Alright? Mm-hmm. That creates like a laughing situation where they're too happy, and you know someone's gonna die if you don't get out now. That is a psychotic break. That can happen from happy. That can happen from lust. That can happen from any freaking emotion, and you don't know what one will trigger it because you don't know that person. So, yeah. Terrible matchup.
For some people.
And he decided, rather than risk that, anger mode, because maybe she'll get sloppy. And she didn't. No.
Yeah. For some people, it's just the very act of fucking with their head.
Yeah.
No matter what you're trying to do, it's just going to piss them off. Which is what I think kind of happened there. Alternatively, I believe, I think he was trying to like make her sad or depressed or something, and instead she just got really fucking angry. So
dude, fucking, you know, did he try? Okay, this is a terrible decision. Okay, so here's the thing with people who have psychosis, most of them are dealing with depression and whatnot. You know what's gonna happen? You're gonna make them hit their limit, and they already decided not to kill themselves. So what's left? Everyone else. That's a bad option. Like, again, this is terrible, terrible matchup. I'm surprised that he didn't get murked right then and there. And honestly, he got off easy with what injuries he had. Like, really easy. Just fine. Like I said, I don't even know. He should have been, 1v3ing Rachel and her dog, but not he's on fighting Gru at some point. Because he got off easy. He should have had, like, his throat chewed out or something if that was a physical fight.
Yeah. That was definitely a poor decision to let him face Rachel. But then again, they don't necessarily know off the bat.
Yeah,
You would think
don't know enough.
He would probably have some sort of ability to tell ahead of time. But, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, maybe he doesn't understand.
For all we know,
maybe
the assumption what they were under was that the person with dogs has, a control over them and maybe some sort of psychic link. And maybe that makes them more susceptible to emotion-based abilities and stuff. Maybe that'll sever the link with the dogs. There's a lot of things they could have been thinking that were wrong. They didn't know. Yeah. So there could have been a logic box, but if it existed, it was the wrong one.
The last thing I want to ask before we move on to what you want to talk about, Regent, right? Because at this point in the story, at least for me, right, just the very thought of fighting Taylor is fucking terrifying. The thought of having to face Tattletale is terrifying. The thought of having to fight Rachel or even Gru, right? That's fucking terrifying. And then you've got Regent, and you're like, at least in my mind, I'm like, what's he gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, you make me trip. I mean, it's going to be annoying, right? But it's definitely not like shittingly terrifying, right? But in this fight, I feel like he did quite. He definitely is the sort of like, oh right, I forgot you were here, right? But when he does pop out, he's like, oops, it looks like you missed a giant cannon shot.
To gain, Yeah. So as soon as he saw a big shiny thing, here's the thing: he's a kid and an idiot, but he has an intense ability that's super, super useful. I don't know if he can go lethal with it, but hey, making someone trip on concrete can kill him. So, it's already pretty dangerous even if you can't directly make it lethal. There's little side steps around it. But the thing is, I don't know how much he can control you, how much it can work. It seems like it's just little tiny, like, whoa, make things not work. But that can be enough. Again, with a gun, like what was there, if the civilians hadn't made it out and he turned it on the bank, like just whoop the guy, then, Kid Win could have been, Kid killed 15 civilians who were at the bank today. That could have happened easily with what he did. Like, he was not playing the game right. But Regent, he was playing a game. His game that he was playing was very simple. It was, defeat the boss, get the cool toy, weapon toy, ooh. That's what he was playing. And he did everything to get that done. And then he was so sad when he couldn't take reward home. Because the two rewards he wanted, big gun and floaty disc thing, were both likely tracked. Because, who the hell wouldn't? Kid Win might have been stupid enough not to put a tracker on there. I honestly don't know. But anyone with competency wouldn't. It would be tracked. Come on. So, or at least use a material that you can trace, so it's not a direct, you found the machine tracker, it's got a material in it, we can trace it, easy to find, whatever. But he couldn't keep his reward, so he stopped giving a shit right after that. And just broke everything, was sad, and moved on. But the idea, this is what I think was driving him. I think the idea of beating the boss and getting cool weapon reward is what made him actually give enough shits to do his job and get through this and act like it's a thing, because that was the game. Because he does not take things seriously. It is not like a life, real world situation for him. It probably won't be unless he starts to really get hurt. That's probably the only way he'll take any of it seriously. And even then, he might not. So, Regent's scariness showed up, but not in a way that I would expect. Like, his power set, the way I expected it to be scary was by what he can do directly. Make you trip and fall into, one of Vista's traps or something, something like that. Like, she could do a lot of things with timing stuff and doing a right pull or a right thing to mess you up. And I thought that's where his scariness was going to be. But the real horror of him, in my opinion, of what I saw, was the potential of how he can multiply any screw up you've made. Like I said, Kid Win is the biggest example. If Regent had done stuff and things hadn't gone the way they'd gone, like, civilians could be dead, all sorts of things could have happened that were horrible. Kid Win could have shot Vista. That could have happened very easily. As soon as Regent got too close. Yeah, he's not someone you expect to be a priority target either. Like, woof. So, and again, that Gru's control over the environment was better than Visa's control over the environment. But again, they had time to plan, and they knew who they might be dealing with, which everyone else did not know. So yeah, Regent.
And it's
capable,
also possible that Gru's
terrifying, but he needs to get him a work.
Yes. It's also possible that Gru's power trumps Vista's, right? Because we already know that it fucks with all kinds of senses. So it's entirely possible that it might fuck with people's power-based senses. And if she can't sense the space, she probably can't twist it. Which I'm not sure if that's confirmed
that's
or not.
That's a good point.
That's my thought.
The head. Yeah, exactly. She's been presented with that situation. Her ability to do something about that is going to be really interesting. I don't know what she's going to do. I doubt we'll get to see her sort of like self-training montage thing of what she does about it. But the fact that she survived this encounter means she's going to extrapolate on her capability of handling these guys next time. So again, she's the one I'd be the most worried about encountering again out of everyone there. Yeah.
It's a good thought.
Because,
but yeah, I do like your
she's
point.
Rolling. She figuring stuff out. Oh, whoa.
Okay, absolutely. I do like your thought here that Regent's like true potential is like the fact that he's so unimportant that he slides under the radar the whole fight, and you kind of have to just ignore him. But the moment you fuck up, he's like, "I gotcha, bitch," and suddenly things go really wrong.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Like that mechanic in Dark Souls where when you die and you come back, you have less max health. He is that mechanic, but for a superhero fight.
Yeah, where it's like you overextend. Suddenly, you're not just, overextending. Now you're tripping and falling on your ass, like in front of the guy who's beating the shit out of you, right? You make the tactical error of pulling out a
exactly
weapon,
what you were doing
pointed at your team.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, hey, you're a barbarian. You have no pluses in intelligence. You're doing an intelligence check. Sure, you have no pluses, but now this guy's there to turn it, and not only is it no pluses, it's no pluses with disadvantage. That's the type of shit he doing.
He turns your failures into critical failures.
Woof.
You're like, whoops.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
So I don't
because
think we need
she's
to see
not
him.
taking it as seriously as others, the action he does with your stuff when he gets a hold of it, or, in response to your screw up, is not going to be the same as someone who is taking this seriously, and it can cause all sorts of problems that you can't expect. You just can't prep for. Like, if he'd gotten hold of that gun any earlier in that fight, like, anyone else could have been taken out, or a building could have started collapsing or something, and, then you gotta deal with all that stuff, like, woof. Also,
Yeah,
the hero's
he's
caused so
very
much
irreverent.
property damage, my guy. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Um, um, yeah, he's so irreverent, right? And that is kind of like another big danger because if you bring out that gun, right, you start to shoot it, and he goes, "Whoops! Oh, no, it's point over there," right? Suddenly, any damage you cause is your fault. I mean, because like you roll into your boss and you're like, she's like, "Hey, well, why did you shoot for civilian?" And you can't be like, "Well, I was shooting at the enemies, but then Regent moved my hand a little bit and I accidentally shot 4 people." Right? You'd be like, why the fuck were you in a situation where you could have accidentally
Yeah.
shoot 4 people in the first place, right? Just because that norm never would have happened under any other circumstances doesn't mean that it was at all
That,
acceptable that you were shooting that gun near people in the first place. Um, that's just like the one thing, right?
exactly.
You'd be like, oh yeah,
That's what makes him so
because like
difficult.
he could literally get away with murder.
If
Like he could
if
make
he
you
were the
kill a bunch
one
of people, and
against
it's your
Glory
fault.
Girl, yeah. If he was the one against Glory Girl, she'd have murked somebody. It
Mhm.
would have happened. 100%,
Would.
especially if those civilians were still there, and oh yeah, it would have been really bad. Woof. That would have ended her career before it got started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and speaking
Rough.
of, I almost forgot. Um, Tattletale
Oh
figured out how she's invincible, right?
yeah, she did. And like that is the little sphere thing around her and stuff, and how it functions. She was able to put that together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was cool. His little context clues, like the outfit and everything like that, like where dust is or where it's not. Also, but she was able to put it all together and go, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, the most logical solution is if we do this, it's gonna overload that motherfucker. And she tried it and it worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she basically
Left
figures
me,
out that
yeah.
Lord Girl is not
Woof.
invincible. She has a personal force field that exists like basically up against her skin that protects her from all damage, but it can be broken. So if she takes too much damage, then it breaks, but it comes back pretty quickly, but not instantly. And so she pulls out a gun
Yeah.
and says, "Yeah, I could shoot you and nothing will happen, but if I double tap, you'll find yourself with needing your sister's help pretty quick. So gun in your face."
Yeah. Woof. Oh no. No, my stuff's trying to run away.
That is why fighting Tattletale is a bad
Okay.
idea.
Trying to fix that. Yum. Yeah. Fighting Telltale is a silent job. You don't make any noise, don't say anything, you don't give any expressions. You just go and you get it done. That's it. That's the job.
Yeah, something that
Woof. That's
the
so
movie
rough,
is most
man. That's
clearly
so
not.
difficult.
So yeah, you said you is there something that you want
Uh-huh.
to talk about Glory Girl before we move on from the main fight?
I know there was stuff I wanted to mention about Glory Girl. Oh, right. So, one, she's spouting off BS and all that. Da 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 da. That's stupid. Shouldn't do that. But
Mhm.
even if you don't know these guys, or you don't know them, and you don't know what Tattletale does, if you have no idea. The talking so chummy with your sister about personal information with people who might come back after you after this, not a great idea. Just in general. Ugh. Like, this is the time to be mentioning other things if you're gonna talk to them, like your connections and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Whatever, that, are like business ones related to what you're doing on there. I had more to say about Glory Girl, but with all the confusion and craziness, I forgot it for now. But I do have something left about Panacea and Taylor. So, hang on, Matt.
All right.
Yeah, so Panacea / Amy, whatever her name is. Okay, so I already went over how basically Panacea screwed up, which was, all these things. She went Glory Girl on it, screwed it up. What I really loved about this is Taylor notices automatically that this person there is out of the norm from everyone else, because we get a little read on some of the other people and their expressions, things they're saying, and then on Amy and her expression of like intense hatred or whatnot, that's on her. But then when we get going, the headache and all that other stuff, all that build up, till eventually we figure out the why. Oh, so good and so annoying. But anyways, their battle and confrontation really showed that Taylor is not thinking the way she was a few days ago. Like this whole thing really shows that, like her mindset is already changed. She's noticing more about the environment. She's doing these other things. But here, she's factoring in for the fact Taylor's around. Not Taylor, but Taylor is factoring for the fact that Tattletale is around. And, because, like, normally, if she were in this situation and she saw a hero screw up this badly, she would be thinking about how they screwed up and be talking about that. If she was going to talk about anything, if she wanted to make herself look important there, she would bring up how they messed up, like how the civilians could have died, all this other stuff, bada bing, bada boom. But instead, she is just sort of like playing along, talking to the person about them and the connection to Word Girl after Word Girl shows up and stuff, blah, blah, blah. Instead of how to be a better hero. She gives them no advice, nothing that would benefit it. So there's no way of them telling that she thinks she's a hero and is trying to be helpful. And there's no way of Tattletale picking up on that. So I think if Tattletale weren't there, the conversation might have gone a little differently. Even though Tattletale stepped out of the room, I know. But the fact that she's the one she was partnered with, if it had been, say, Rachel in there and whatnot, she would have said other things easily. Like things that mentioned, like, well, like, by doing this, you don't know how many bugs I got and stuff there. You're not with them. This could have happened. She could have been thinking and saying those sorts of things to give them a note like, hey, I know things that are helpful to heroes and stuff, like maybe there's a thing that you can make and actually help me out or whatever, sort of thing. But none of that happened. Instead, we got her just sort of going with whatever they're saying and minimizing talking about herself or anything outside of this specific heist and exactly what was happening in the moment.
Yeah, like she engaged
So,
them like they were.
I think it was all custom tailored. Mhm. Exactly, yeah. Like they were the enemy and she needed to keep it there. Boom. Very, very interesting. And she is not making herself look good towards the wards, who are the people who she would be joining, by the way, if she does succeed in taking out the Undeciders.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. You know,
Oh, you
like,
mean like, you know,
so maybe you should
covering
think
people with
about
Black
that.
Widows isn't a good look?
Tja, right? Like, you already have that thing. Why are you, avoiding things that make you look more heroic? Like, because she could have been, making herself look good while making them look inferior with her communication here. Especially since it takes the time to see all that stuff. But she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Instead, she
really
just observed it
interesting
and
moment
kind
where
of
we get a
internalized
lot
it.
of yeah. Yeah. Ma'am.
Yeah.
So what's left? What's left? Meow.
Yeah. So heroes fuck up pretty bad at basically all steps of this fight. The Undersiders also screw up, but their screw ups are much lesser and are much easier to recover from. And so after Taylor's plan of let's just attack them full bore, fuck it, we ball. After that goes shockingly well. The Undersiders get away, and they get to go home. Um,
And the way they
yeah,
go home
and
was
then
really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, they do. I believe right. They split up. Right. They leave under cover of darkness. They
They
split into a
split
couple
within
different
a
groups, and
wide
they
radius. Yep.
yeah, and then they slip down back to their
Oh,
civilian identities, uh, undercover,
yeah.
then they're just people in the crowd.
And they specifically act like everyone else around them in the crowd. Like if other people gawk and they gawk, they were doing that sort of stuff. But there's one thing I want to note here that really shows how badass Rachel is. So, Angelica, the dog, is with Tattletale when this goes down. And, she stays with her, acts accordingly, is pet or whatever, and stuff, walks with them perfectly. Everything goes super smooth, like Lisa owns her. That is really impressive, considering everything this dog has been taught to do, combat-wise and everything else there. The fact that it can be handed off to another member of the group who is not the one who's trained it and function properly underneath them. That's saying a lot about Rachel, what she's done, how she's taught them, what she even thinks of this crew. Like, for her, this might be like her permanent crew. Like this could be home. So that's interesting. That's a good thing to note. Because, like, why the fuck would you allow anyone else to have your dog with you and stuff? That makes no freaking sense. But the dog is acting perfectly like that, so clearly it's been specifically allowed to let this person treat it that way.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that Rachel doesn't like Lisa, like, at all. But it's also clear that she trusts her, right?
Yeah. She's like a family member.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting.
So,
Yes.
the last thing I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so the rest of the people, the sort of like drop off they get is, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And I don't think gives us too much more information about who they are as people or anything like that. Just moreover, how the plan was strategized at the beginning. So, figure that's worth a quick mention in case anyone's thinking about that stuff. If you think that there's anything specifically of note there, you only need to write in my comments or whatever, guys. Go ahead. Meh. Squish, squish.
Yeah. Right. So the last important thing I wanted to mention is I kind of led with the incorrect statement that quote unquote all of the junior heroes showed up, plus a couple of extras. It's not 100% accurate in that almost all the junior heroes showed up as well as a couple of extras, but there was one very specifically who wasn't there today. And so we go into kind of the debrief in the interlude. And there was one hero who was not present for the fight.
Oh gosh. My brain's not remembering them right now. Shazbot. Can I get the name?
Her name is Shadowstalker.
Oh, yes! The one with the rival with Gru! Yeah! I forgot who it was, but I think it was Gallant and someone who mentioned that she wasn't there, right? And then that was a good thing they weren't there. I think, was it Gallant or Aegis? Oh, gosh. But yeah, that was a specific good thing to note because of the rah stuff. So we know that person, Shadowstalker, was not the one on the roof. Because things would have gone very differently. So that's a good note to have. Yeah. Oh my goodness, meow, meow, meow.
So yeah,
Squish.
Do you have any thoughts as to why Shadowstalker wasn't there today?
Well, it's a few potential reasons. We know the big heroes were having a big meeting and stuff there, so it's possible Shadowstalker was doing something related to that. Whether checking in or doing something else, whatever. It's also possible, very easily, that she is, hunting down Gru. And, with Armsmaster knowing about the situation of stuff and everything there, all that sort of thing going on there, it could be that he set up a little task force to try and use the information they got to take this down. And Shadowstalker would want to be part of that, obviously. It's also possible Shadowstalker's just, shadow stalking and trying to figure out where this guy's base of operation is. We know someone else in the Undeciders. We know there's 2 people there who've murdered. Which is silly, because in every group I've ever been in, it's been basically everyone who's murdered. It's like, that's the guy who didn't murder. But whatever. So anyways, that's that. Then you go and you look around there and stuff like that. There's the possibility that Shadowstalker is the one who had someone murdered. Like someone they know and care about. And either blame Gru, or it was actually Gru's fault. Then that's why she has the grudge. And so she could be hunting down that, or, even being at, like, the person's grave or whatever and stuff, All sorts of things could be happening. We just don't know enough about her yet to have a solid idea of where the hell she is and what exactly she is doing. Yeah, there's another fun possibility is that she actually does not give a shit at all about Gru. At all. She could, and this is very easily, she could be a thing, a tool in the boss's tool set to amplify the team, keep them together, and train them against possibilities they need to deal with. It's not outside of reason at this point that she's just a tool.
A manufactured rival.
Exactly.
Interesting.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a common tactic that a lot of people employ in different organizations. So why
Mhm.
not here?
True. Yeah, it's unfortunate I don't get to
Yeah.
see her at all. Um, but I have a feeling that'll change
Gosh, yeah, I
in the
know,
near
right?
future. And I know you don't have any information at all, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it would be interesting personally.
I have
I find it
none.
interesting if you could take a guess as to what her powers might be just based on her name.
Do that. There's a little bit of mention about her. Um, like some of the things she does, like the arrows or whatnot that she uses. So
She has
I
crossbow.
know that was it Gru or yeah, he's talking about the crossbow and stuff. So I think with what we were told, I think her power is something like cloaking herself in shadow or, shadow melding, something along those lines, which,
Hmm.
cool and everything. There is also maybe possible that she has like a black arrow kind of thing going on where she can maybe infuse darkness into an area or a thing and then poof, around that have it. I'm not sure. But I don't think she has any control over sound the way that our buddy Gru does. And the reason why I think that is she's using a crossbow. So
Mhm.
crossbows are already pretty quiet. So you won't have to do much to silence them. If she were using like a gun, though, I would assume she has a silencing ability on it, but it's not the case. So
That reminds
I
me.
think she's able
This is
to ensorcel herself darkness.
okay. A complete
Yeah.
unrelated tangent whatsoever. That does very vaguely remind me of
Let's go!
way way back in the day. I was playing Warframe, and they added passive abilities to characters to the first couple characters, and I played Banshee back in the day, and she was like the second or third Warframe to get a passive ability,
The
and her
heck?
passive ability made any weapon, no matter what it was, count as silent. So the first thing I did was I stopped using bows, and I went and got the
Ooh, yeah.
biggest motherfucking cannon I could get by people and blowing them to pieces across the room,
Yes!
and
Bye!
they would count it as silent.
Yeah,
Just kind of
right?
reminded of
A
that.
silent
Um,
rocket launcher is a scary threat.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so in the theoretical world where she has some sort of shadow-based ability, I know, right? Crazy thought process. Do you think that might have anything to do with why she might not like Gru all that much? Like perhaps her power interacts poorly with his, for her at least.
Well, it depends on if they interact at all. They might not interact at all. So,
Hmm.
if his power, negates a bunch of stuff, right? I don't think it gives him any special awareness of it, just it seems normal in there for him. So
Hmm.
her shadowing herself up and then walking into a shadow, normally she'd be, invisible in there or really hard to see. But for him, it's not shadowy in there. So seeing a shadow walk around in there, kind of obvious that that's where the person is.
Hmm.
So I think that might be
And
an issue.
if her
Um,
power doesn't give her
then,
the ability to see through the darkness.
yeah, I mean, she might be able to see through her own darkness, but not his. And his is a wider area of
Hmm.
effect. I think hers is around her. So she'd think she's hidden. That would make me mad. you know? And then, all the normal sensory deprivation that comes with it as well. So, that, it basically takes her skill set that she, balanced with her talent and throws it out the window to where she needs to have an entirely different skill set in order to keep the same functionality. So, I understand being really mad about it. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to learn a different skill set there. So, that in and of itself would be it. It's also possible that powers of the same kinds do interact. We don't know yet. I haven't heard anything of the sort. But it could be that, like, darkness extrapolates and whatnot, and then, where she could see through her own stuff, now she can't see through her own stuff, and it's just darker, or now it starts affecting her, ability to hear and whatnot, even after she walks out of his cloud. We don't know yet. It'll be exciting to find out more information. And maybe it's something where it creates an emotional response. That could be a thing. We don't know. The more I learn, the more I'll be able to put things together. But yeah, it could be causing something else entirely that we can't factor for yet. And let's go.
Yeah, this is absolutely only arc 3. We've still got many more to go. There's still plenty of things left to learn. That's why I'm being as sparing as possible as I can with giving you future knowledge. I'm only doing so when I am confident that it's not a major spoiler. Instead, it's just something that hasn't been explained yet.
Or I've already spilled enough information of what I think about it, where, yeah. There's no more content to farm.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, that's why I explained the Manton limit. I'm like, is this not like a spoiler? It's just something they haven't got around to explaining yet. And I'm not just necessarily going to do that just because like I could explain trigger events and everything, because again, that's not a huge spoiler. That's just something they haven't got around to explaining yet, but that hasn't been immediately relevant to anything that we've discussed yet. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'll say if we're positing, if you're getting confused about stuff, and I think, yeah, you should probably know, like, you can know this, it's fine. I will, but I haven't been. I'm keeping my mouth shut as much as I can. So with that, I guess we can.
That way I can open mine and we can find out what's going on in this stupid brain.
Yeah. Because it's like, because that also leads into the last section here, where another reason I don't want to give out information if I don't have to is because I'd like to hear your theories. So do you have any for today? Like, do you have any thoughts as to your previous theories? Updates to those, and if you have any new ones, I'd like to hear them.
You all. So, between blurry. So Gallant is, in a relationship with Glory Girl, but he knows that Amy wants to be in a relationship with him and stuff like that, and so that makes everything awkward there. Amy's own obsession with doing everything she can to be helpful and whatnot has made her lose sight of herself as a person. So that's an issue. It seems like only around, like, Glory Girl does she get any semblance of who she is, but only through the fact that she's connected to Glory Girl. So that's kind of annoying and interesting for her. But it seems like when she does have something, she wants to hold on to it, whatever that something is, that is her. So she has this information, the stuff that'd be helpful, things she learned about, air quotes, Skitter, and air quotes. And so she wants to hold on until after that conversation, where she's like, screw it, fine, I'll go throw this piece of me out here on the board so everyone else can have it. Because, doing that is equatable to doing the work I'm doing everywhere else. It feels more that way to me. Like, that's interesting. But, yeah, she hasn't really been herself, so I don't think she knows how to be herself anymore. Yeah. Theories and stuff. Okay. I haven't seen anyone else yet who remotely fits her description, like Amy's description. So her daddy, or mom even, because that's not known, could be out there. Could be someone we haven't met yet. Or it could be someone who we've met but not seen. Like, there's a few characters like that. There's the two silly villains who are, video game themed. I know it's not going to be them. The boss person we know nothing about, so they're on the possibility list of who it could be. Like, it could be her mom, whatever. We don't know. You have no idea. Which is, again, what makes that character terrifying. We know nothing about them. So, her parents could be out there. Hell, the people who had her, whose house she was found in, and everything, could not be her biological parents. We don't actually know that they are. We assume they are with information Tattletale's pulled, but it could be something much worse than that. Yeah. So, I have theories that her actual identity, who it is, what the connection there and something, is something that's going to dramatically affect Taylor, whether or not Taylor gives a crap about it. That's just how his teeth act going. Woof.
Okay.
Squished. What are some of my earlier theories so I can posit on what I think of them?
Well, I did know that I was kind of in the first arc. I was asking more about general story structure and plot points, if I remember right. And then in the second one, I was asking about the job, and the direction that what kind of work the Undersiders would be doing in the near future.
Yeah. So, okay. Something interesting here about what Tattletale said was that, so for Tattletale, in here, she talks about the boss and everything like that a little bit. She doesn't give any detail about the boss. But she used that so I could lean into the rest of the conversation. Which is, she talks to Taylor about heroes and villains and stuff like that, and how she sort of sees it, or at least what she's saying she sees it like. Which is scary.
That was this arc.
Because Tattletale... That was this arc, yeah? Good. I'm going to talk about it and how I think that affects my theories. So, they had this discussion, and Tattletale mentions that the heroes are the city's team, like a sports team. But the villains are the away team. However, they are also still the city's. So, they're just playing it from a harder perspective. Like they get to go to prison and they risk their lives and stuff or whatnot, blah, blah, blah. But that's why they escape and get out and do little things and are back there doing stuff again. And then she goes with Taylor and mentions like 3 types of villains, basically. There's those who are like them, they steal stuff, they're silly, they're, oh, whoa, look at me, I'm a villain. And then there's those who are, how do I say it, kind of a threat, like they're situationally a problem. I'll say it that way, yeah, like situationally a problem for real people, like they got a big gang or whatever it is, like, actual violence and stuff against the normal people that happens with them. And they
Like the ones
barely
who
get
don't
mentioned in this. But then there's yeah, and then there's the third kind, which are those like Lung and everything, who are real people who take this seriously and like it's a booga fight to the death kind of thing and whatnot. Which, yeah, it is, dumbass. So she has this distinction of that. Like, people like Lung are like those who, defeat a superheroine and then rape her and whatnot, and that everyone comes together and kicks this guy's ass, and that's how that is. Wow. So she has that sort of like statement, but it feels more like she's just shitting out the mouth. Sorry, I'm gonna curse it out there, but that feels like what it is. She's vomiting, saying things to sort of gauge Taylor and get more information while they're driving and doing stuff. Like, she lives off of it. Because the reality of what happened with Lung wasn't that at all. Like, the only reason that anyone teamed up, air quotes, was because Taylor fought solo. Then they came in for their own solo fight, did their solo fight, recruited her, and then a hero came by and did their solo capture. No one was actually working together on that, There was no team up. There was no everybody takes them down kind of thing at all. And I think if she really thinks the way she just said in that part, then she has fundamentally misunderstood people, has no idea what's going on with Rachel, and has put herself in a danger spot in the city where she is, ready to be slaughtered by anyone who comes in with the right mentality. Which is why I don't think she means what she was saying and was just calculating to grab information from Taylor. Like, she knows there's a lot of information that Taylor's not releasing, and she wants to gather it all so that she can use it. Because that's how her powers are. More information, more power. So, yeah. That's what that felt like to me. And that makes me think that she's, when it comes to the jobs and stuff and whatnot, the ones she's willing to bring up to the team while she's still got Taylor as a newbie are going to be showy, flashy, things that look like fun game as a way of getting her into that feeling, and when you're with people playing a game, you're more willing to talk and share information, because it just comes out as part of banter and all that other stuff. So I think Tattletale might hide certain jobs from the rest of the team and only mention certain ones that have this sort of flair to it in order to cement Taylor with her power set as part of their crew so they can do these other jobs. To what end exactly? I don't know. I don't even think she might know. But I think there's that power grab of knowledge. She knows she's got a powerhouse of knowledge here, but not to what extent. And she wants to get that used up and ready to go so that she's prepared. Yeah.
Okay, so
that's
you
my
think
thought
that
there.
this sort of like,
and how I think that's going to change things.
okay, so you think this like sort of cops and robbers talk is more about gauging Taylor and her mindset more than an actual impartation of wisdom, and that perhaps she is skewing in a certain direction with at least to get sort of Taylor on board with the idea, like, oh yeah, we're not actually hurting anybody. We're like robbing a bank, which is insured, and we're breaking in, we're making a big scene, and then we're leaving, and no one gets hurt, and everything's fine.
Yeah. I think that's what's going on there, because there's no way Tattletale actually believes any of that hot garbage. Now with how the fight with Lung went, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you think that perhaps Telltale has kind of picked up on the fact that Taylor isn't like all gung ho about being like unapologetically evil and just stealing shit, right? She's like, oh, she'll rob places, but only if it's like an acceptable target, and
Where, yeah, she's
she'll shoplift,
yeah,
but she won't
like she thinks that Regent needs it to be a game. I think she understands that already. Regent needs a game. What she doesn't know about Taylor is, what does Taylor need to be part of the team? So she's trying to gauge that out. Is it that she needs a game? Is it that she needs recognition? What is it that she needs for it to matter to her? And when we're talking about the plans and stuff, Bear, and everything that happened, they really just sort of went over them kind of quick. There was like notable parts where like Taylor made an impart or, said things and stuff, and oh, okay, blah, blah. So I think she's really just trying to get this person part of team, but also give me all that information you have so I can use it because I want to be better. Whether or not you're here, I want that power that comes from knowing what you know, what you've been keeping secret. Because I know you're keeping secret. Of course you are. You're brand new here. But when I can get that secret, I can get its power. Whatever it is. That's sort of what I'm seeing. Bam.
Okay.
What's up?
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Right.
Yeah, also, there's definitely something going on with Arms Master that's going to be very plot relevant. Like, whether he's multiple people, has a mental disorder, or if Taylor's finally figuring out his game. That's a huge plot point. Just Taylor did botch this encounter. So that's going to come up for sure. That's going to be a big plot thing.
Arms Master, remember this.
Glory Girl and Amy are going to be how do I say it? Intrinsically linked to Taylor and Tattletale's side of the story. With the way this went down, I just think that's going to be the case, 100%.
Okay, so
I know I have more, but that's all I got. Wow.
Okay, so the Down Sisters and Tattletale and Arms Master. Those are the people you want to kind of keep an eye on for now.
Yeah, they're all going to be related. Whatever their plot lines are will intersect. Rachel's and Gru's and Aegis's, those might connect or whatever, but not in the same way that those specific characters I just listed earlier are going to connect. Like, Glory Girls, Glory Girl and Amy are going to have parallels to sorry, it's cough that's trying to kick my butt right now for no reason, to Tattletale and Taylor. There's going to be a lot there. And it's going to be really good, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the connection's going to be, how it's going to be set up there, but, and they're going to be sort of opposite, though, too, because, Tattletale wants to gather information from this person, whereas, the person, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be some hourglassing. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, that's my theory. Squish.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself so far. I'll say, hopefully, your enjoyment only continues to grow. Mine did. So, yeah, I guess
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
Oh,
probably
right. I gotta
all
mention
there.
before the end.
Oh, yeah.
Dogs. Dogs have prehensile
Oh.
tails, man. What the heck? Meow. That was
Oh
badass.
yeah, yeah. They're scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. And like
Yeah.
with bone juts and everything, like, you can grab it and but yeah, and they set up one with a saddle. So that was really interesting. Like some sort of weird saddle thing they set up. That was cool for like taking the money and whatnot. That was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Dogs.
No.
Dogs being dogs.
Definitely
Dogs being better than dogs.
dogs.
Big dogs.
Dog good. Yeah. Alright. I guess all we got for this one. One of these days we'll do one when like none of us are tired and it's gonna be insane how much stuff we get to cover then. Let's go. Yeah.
That's my secret cat.
Always tired. Squish. Oh yeah, see, this is a good episode. Wow, I already have so much editing to do. Let's go.
Yeah, you got some breaks to chop out there.
Chippy choppy. Well, thank you all for joining us. It's been great. I'm gonna end the video in a few seconds. Fallen's gonna say a little ending little bit, and then I'll say the last little goodbye stuff. All right, let's go, man.
This is the ending song. We're out of words to say.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Friendos. I'll catch you on the next episode. Tell me your theories, your comments, your stuff. Do you enjoy prehensile tail dog? I think it's cool. All right. Good night. Bye bye. Chow mein noodles. Toodaloo. Bye bye.